I'm back, baby. Today, on GibblesNBits, we're making Beef Stroganoff. Welcome. The Gibbles has returned. And yes, I know that was German. But Beef Stroganoff is actually Russian. But the joke works much better as an angry Hitler. But today we are making Beef Stroganoff. By popular demand, this is basically my signature dish that anybody who I've ever cooked for knows this is the one they asked me to cook twice. What you need for Beef Stroganoff. You need a nice lean cut of chicken. No, beef. You need a white onion. You need garlic. You need some mushrooms. Some cream of mushroom soup. Some half and half. Or for you lighter people, half and half. Just do it. You need garlic. You always need garlic. Salt and pepper, egg noodles, and we'll just figure out the rest as we go along. Water, pans, a positive attitude, an open mind. You need all these things for success, and you definitely need it for Beef Stroganoff. Number one step, got to bring this meat, get it some flavor. Here we have our nice, clean, lean beefing machine. So first, you cut against the grain, okay? So everyone's mouth is a different size, but we're all pink in the middle. Cut it to the sizes you want to eat. If you make it too big, they're going to be chewy. If you make them too small, they're going to be chewy. So you make them just right. What was that? The Three Bears, right? If the Three Bears had a beef segment, it would have been just right. You cut against the grain, meaning if the grain's going this way, you cut against it. And then after that, you cut it with the grain. We have the beef. It's still Russian. It puts the beef in the container. That's definitely a big no-brainer. Okay, time for our seasonings. So to this, we add some salt. So I usually don't measure. I did this for you guys. We add some pepper. Stroganoff is a pepper-heavy dish. Pepper, as many people know, originally came from... There's only one island in the entire world that pepper is grown. Little known fact. Fact check me. I dare you. Garlic powder. Cayenne pepper for some kick. And our Worcestershire sauce. Give it a mix. Yeah. Marinate 30 minutes. Okay. So while our meat is in the refrigerator, we're going to use some knives. To cut some veggies. The only good knife is a sharp knife. Proper knife care is very important because the majority of people cut themselves with a dull knife, not a sharp one. The reason being is a dull knife doesn't do what a knife is supposed to do. It doesn't cut. Knives are supposed to cut. So before each use, you should hone your knife. That's what this is. This is called a steel. What a steel does is it takes the bevel of your knife, straightens it out. So what you do, just a couple times on each side, at least 100 on each side. No, it's like 10 times. So you go down and you go down, always towards yourself. Safest way to use a knife, cut it towards yourself. And so what this does is this basically, as you cut with the knife, it makes your blade either flatten out a little or just kind of take a little bend to it. So you do that, you take care of your knife, knife take care of you. It's basically the U.S. government. You give and it takes. Now that you got a nice sharp knife, it's time to cut. So I said it calls for a white onion, so that's what we're going to do. So what you're going to do on your white onion is a nice small dice. So you cut that sucker in half, take off your outer skin, feed that to the chickens. I'm not going to show you how to do this because I've done it on my other channels. So if you want to know how to cut an onion, go back. As I cut into this onion, it makes me think of my childhood. That's it. You know, I don't know what you did as a child, but I cut into onions. Alright, so you're going to do about a quarter of an onion. That's what's left. So no good beef stroganoff is good without little sliced mushrooms. So, you know, kind of go it to your taste, but I usually use about 500 to 400. So, I mean, it's really up to you. So you get your mushroom cut on. You make sure while you're using this nice sharp knife that you did, is you look directly in the eyes of somebody that's home. So that is the absolute safest way to cut a mushroom. Little known fact. Never look at the knife. Our meat is marinated. Our veggies are cut. Now we get to the best part. Let's start cooking it. So what you're going to do, I'm going to take old Reliable here, Mr. Cast Iron Skillet. I'm going to add me some butter to this pan. So I like to make this a one-pan dish. Well, technically it's two because you got to cook your pasta, but let's not get caught up on semantics. So I call this a one-pan dish. So we're going to cook our meat, we're going to cook our veggies, we're going to cook everything in our one cast iron skillet, while our pasta magically becomes cooked. And the first thing we're going to add is our onions, because they take longer to cook than the mushrooms. It's so unsatisfying when it doesn't sizzle. After you give your onions about 2 to 3 minutes, just so they get a little translucent, you can smell the joy and the happiness in the air. Time to add your mushrooms. So mushrooms cook fairly quick, and they take on the flavor of anything you add them to. So that's why you add your mushrooms after. You develop your flavors, you get that happiness going in the pan, you add your mushrooms, and they just soak up all that happiness. Alright, our mushrooms and onions are cooked. Time to add a little beef stock to the party. After you add your beef stock, bring that up to a simmer, and as soon as that comes to a simmer, add your cream of mushroom. For convenience, I use the pre-made stuff, but making your own cream of mushroom soup is actually very simple. And one of these days, if you're lucky, I'll show you how to make it, but just get the can. And it's done. Once we're up to a simmer, go ahead and add your whole can of cream of mushroom soup. So, when you drink too much whiskey and you forget to cook your meat, what you're going to want to do is get another pan, throw some butter in it, put your meat in the butter and cook it and add it to your sauce. It's real whiskey, folks. And it's real good. So now that we got our cream of mushroom incorporated and our cooked meat added to it, it's time for the creme de la creme. But this is what I advise you do. So just like life, cooking is all about timing. You want to make sure that your sauce is done when your noodles are done. When your noodles are done, it all comes together, you give it to people and everyone smiles. Okay? So, when you get to the stage, right before you add your sour cream, you want to make sure that your pasta is cooking. So, egg noodles cook real quick. They take about 6 to 12 minutes, depending on where you're at, your beliefs on Marxism, and a lot of different factors that really add up to how long your noodles take. But here's the thing, is your noodles will continue to cook after you take them out of the water and after you add them the sauce onto your noodles. So just take all this into consideration. All I'm asking is put a little heart into it and make good food. So before I add my sour cream to the sauce, I'm adding my noodles to the water. So about halfway through the cooking of the noodles, you want to add your sour cream to finish out your sauce. So our noodles are about 4 minutes away from being fulfilled in their life journey of being delicious. That means it's time to add our sour cream. That is going to bring this sauce to the next level of yum. Your last ingredient is Parmesan cheese. A lot of different varieties out there. Pick your favorite and roll with it. Add it to the sauce right before you're going to put it on the pasta. We have reached the best part of the journey. You have finished your meal and it's time to plate. I personally like to add my sauce on top of my noodles instead of mixing them all together. It is the more elegant way, and in 1678, Sir Rufus van Houten III dictated that any peasant found mixing his pasta with the sauce shall be hung. I believe that law still stands. It has not been repealed. So, if you feel like running the risk, feel free to mix your sauce and your pasta together in one big bowl. I personally will simply add it on top. Couple scoops will do ya. Go ahead and finish that garnish with an ill-prepared bag of Parmesan. You don't need much, just a little drizzle on top. And you now have a finished beef stroganoff. I'm Gibbles. These are my bits. I'll see you next time. Bye.